So with that being said, if you don't know who I am, my name is Chris Giles, and my position here for the whole district is basically kind of Canvas admin. I work with Carrie. I'm a TOSA, so I'm a teacher on special assignment. Worked with the innovation team for a long time. I've been in some of your schools when we had our amazing innovation team as Innistrats, and so I had a chance to be into your classrooms or your schools in the elementary space, but specifically working to support Canvas for our whole district. Because Canvas was rolled out for secondary the past few years, that's what I support. And now we're moving to the point where teachers can, I shouldn't say teachers, teams can choose to use Canvas at their grade level. And so Carrie and I are working together to support our elementary folk. I don't know how many teachers are going to come into Canvas. I really don't know. And so we'll find a way to capture that information. Because the first question that I liked is, what is my role? I can barely create a Canvas course, and then our fifth grade team is using it. And so how do we support that? And that's kind of what we want to talk about today is I don't want to put something else on your plate that's not reasonable. So, and then Carrie, you can introduce yourself, obviously, because yeah.
Hi all, my name is Carrie Kunert. Been an elementary teacher for 20 plus years in the district, done various roles. Last year I was in an ELA TOSA role, and I was actually called back to the digital curriculum world because of remote learning. So I am here to support primarily elementary teachers on all of the things to make them feel successful.
Yeah, I think like our roles will definitely, Carrie and I, even like work with Nicole, I mean, our roles are gonna be very similar. We're all supporting pretty much our entire staff. You know, and I taught sixth grade for 6 years in Phoenix, and that's considered elementary. So it's where you teach all the content, much like a fifth grader does here. It's been a while since I've taught elementary. So, and then I've taught everything from pre-K to high school. So yeah, it's quite an exciting realm of that. Yeah. So that being said, my goal today is to not slide deck you to death. So I want to like be aware of your time and really kind of respond to your needs. That's really our goal. And then give you an overview of Canvas and meet you where you're at and let you know what you can what you can do. And so part of the reason why for this document was just for you to put some questions out there that we could respond to right now at the very beginning, and then just kind of walk you through some things. How can I learn Canvas without having hands-on experience? And so that's a big thing, is how can we learn Canvas? And so we have 2 Canvas courses set up at the district where everybody can enroll in. And we'll make sure that more people are aware of those 2 courses. It's called Growing with Canvas 1 and Growing with Canvas Part 2. And so we'll make sure that you have that access as well. And there are disadvantages to using Canvas or for switching over to Seesaw. We'll talk about that as well. We definitely don't want this to be a Canvas versus Seesaw conversation, because the reality is if you're building, if one grade level chose Canvas at your grade in your building, you now have 2 platforms, period. That's it. That's all there is to it. You have 2 platforms. And so if your building was like, no, we just stuck with Seesaw from the whole building, then that's totally fine. You have 1 platform. This is not to bring in to the confusing of Twig, which is his own learning platform, by the way, just to let you be aware of that. So again, not Canvas versus Seesaw, but we're happy to answer those questions about the teachers who are moving from Seesaw to Canvas. So we'll be doing some professional development for those teachers. And so how should we encourage teachers to access Canvas? I'm sorry, families to access. We'll talk about that as well, family rules. So that being said, are there questions on the screen that you want me to tackle right now before we get started? And you're probably okay if we end early, right? Like if we don't take the full time, you're all okay with that, I'm assuming. So I want to, yeah, oh, Cynthia wants me to say the whole time. Okay, that's all right. So that being said, are there questions that you really want us to address first before we get started? And you can just unmute yourselves. So this is only a small group.
I have a logistical question. I'm under the impression that I can create courses in Canvas and deliver instruction through Canvas, but if need be, I can either push a link out in Seesaw to all families, or whatever is pushed into Seesaw, I can link that and send it through Canvas. Like they're not necessarily mutually exclusive. Is that right?
They are technically mutually exclusive in that there are 2 different systems and 2 different logins. But I guess I'm thinking, are you thinking of like a fifth grade team who might want to do both? Is that what you're thinking, or?
I'm thinking of my PE teacher. I
Mm,
would like for her not to have to post content in two platforms. So could she record a lesson and then send a link and have that be pushed out on Seesaw separately on Canvas,
yes.
depending on the grade?
Yes.
And then at the same time, if it's a synchronous lesson, can she do Zoom and then send, like, can people access the same thing through both platforms?
Yeah. So it's just a matter of posting a link or something where, if I'm the PE teacher and I give it to the fourth grade teacher and say, hey, can you post this link so that your students are aware of my live Zoom or something like that? Then yes, the teacher can go ahead and post that and make that available for those students. The biggest challenge is going to be, I think, getting our teachers and our students just in Canvas. Like, it's just that first little while, that routine, that procedure. So, and in my opinion, you're going to spend the first 2 weeks connecting with students, and you're going to use every tool possible to just make phone calls, text messages, whatever you can to eventually make those connections. But eventually, once those routines of which platform we use, then yes, the PE teachers or other teachers can send that to the homeroom teacher and they can post that for their students. Yeah. So yes. Other questions that you want me to address before we kind of move into our little PD training today? All right, so maybe not. That's okay. That's all right. We're okay with that. Okay, so let's get going. All right, so I'm going to get over here. I am going to present. I'm going to show you some things. Please stop, ask questions. The goal is to not like inundate you with stuff. So obviously our students' experience is changing, so that's the big thing. Middle school and Canvas and high school have been using Canvas for a while, so they feel pretty comfortable. I have a lot of new teachers who have not used Canvas. That's fine. Elementary, it's going to be different, but those tools that the students can access are really still going to be the same. So think of Canvas as just, if you want to think about it, if your experience with Seesaw is I can post something in Seesaw and my students can access it, then much the same process. Canvas will allow students to access that content, the link, or whatever it is that they want. So that is the similarity between those two systems, okay? So with that being said, I just want to talk about the overview, the managing, the communication, just so you know what you have at your fingertips as far as what you can and cannot do. And so every single staff member can access Canvas through the Beaverton internet page. So all of you are fully comfortable with that. You can go there, get your Outlook, you can go to Google Drive, you can click on Canvas. And so that's for every single individual. And then as far as when you actually land in Canvas, and I'm happy to demo this as well, you're confronted with your dashboard. And so effectively, this is the courses that as a principal, you will have a couple courses on your dashboard in Canvas. You will have an all student course. So if you can see where it says Conestoga Middle School and Conestoga 6th grade. Well, in the elementary, you will have a course called, Jacob Wismer All Students course. You'll have a school called, I don't know all of your schools. I apologize. Like Joan's the only one that I know that is at Jacob Wismer because my kids go there. So, but you'll have a course called your school, and it's the all student course. And in that course will be the grade levels. You'll have a 4th grade class, a 5th grade class. This course is not published. Nothing can happen there until you as an administrator want to publish it and actually do something with it. And we can talk about more what you can do with it. You'll also get on your course an all staff page. So every one of you will have, the name of your school and an all staff page. And again, it's not published, but we already enroll all of your staff into that course. So if you want to have a space where you're like, hey, we're going to use Canvas course to communicate with our entire staff, that's something that you can do. And it looks like, I'll show you, it kind of looks like this. You might have a real simple template that we've made for you, and then you as an administrator could use that course to help hold all of your meetings, all of your record links. I'm not saying you have to, so I'm just giving you an option. You do not have, if you feel like you already have a pretty comfortable system on how you communicate, do not add more things to your plate. If you, by all means, is that okay? Does that make sense? Okay,
Chris, I had a question.
Yeah, absolutely. Go ahead.
So you said that our Canvas courses are set up for the school. Is it just the grade levels that are participating in Canvas? So like at Bonnie Slope, it's just going to be fifth grade. So are we just going to have a class just for fifth graders, or is it really everybody in our school?
It's going to be everyone. And the reason why is because we're just keeping the same system across the whole day. We've been doing this for, matter of fact, believe it or not, you've actually had this in your fingertips for about the last 3 years. So if you go to if you were to log into Canvas and click on your either dashboard, or if you were to click on all courses, you would actually see previous, all students and all staff. So again, and just because we're trying to keep it uniform across the district. So yeah. So that being said, if you're like, Chris, we really want to use this, then that's where we will help you set it up. We're not asking you to do all this on your own. If you're like, we don't want to use the Canvas course for our staff, there is no stress. Okay, so you can choose the direction you all want to move. Aloha Park in Springville might be a little different because they're a K-8 school. And I think Raleigh Hills as well. So because they're K-8 and they have middle school teachers using Canvas, they might move the direction of using those all staff and all student courses for their school. So it just, again, depends on how you want to do it. So I also want to talk about this piece. We've finally completed, and I will, matter of fact, I'm going to do this right now. I'm going to copy this and put this in the chat. In the chat is the Canvas agreements. And basically this simply means, I just threw it in the chat. And so the goal of this is to create a real simple uniform across the district as far as how Canvas is being utilized for our staff and our teachers so a teacher, especially where it says elementary and new teachers, they're all going to be level 1. As a matter of fact, they're going to be like baby step level 1, and that's totally fine. And they can stay there for a while. There's no rush to have to be an awesome Canvas user. It's just, we wanted to make the levels of Canvas reasonable for where people are, but at the same time, there's a minimal expectation of how teachers are using Canvas. And so we're trying to wrap both of those philosophies into one document. So that being said, I will make sure that every teacher has a homepage. And for example, on this page here, this is not the homepage I'm giving you, but this will be similar, that a teacher will get a homepage, and then that teacher is going to just simply can click edit and add some personal, like, hey, here's who I am, here's my contact information for my parents and my students. They can go ahead and delete things if they don't want to, but the goal of giving every teacher a homepage is to, if you see in my first picture where it says elementary, all of these links on the left, we're going to hide all of them from students except for a few, because we don't want students to feel like more confused, like which button do I click on? And so part of this template across the district is to kind of keep our teachers, their homepage is simple and clean. I don't care if a teacher still personalizes it. Matter of fact, I want them to personalize it and humanize it, but we want to also reduce the noise on a homepage. So I don't know if any of you are on the, if you've heard of the whole Bitmoji craze that's been happening. I'm not a big fan. I love Bitmoji. My whole background's in Bitmoji, but this is not what kids want to see on a device. They don't want to scroll for miles to try to get to the content. So a teacher can still put a Bitmoji banner, personalize it, but we want to take away the pain and the frustration of how to design and deal with courses. As a matter of fact, I've asked Nicole and Carrie to kind of help with that design. But with that being said, I'm going to tell you right up front, the 2 pictures I have for you are how potential Canvas teachers will use in elementary, meaning I'm actually going to give every elementary teacher a homeroom course, a math, a science/health, a social studies, and an writing/reading course. So every elementary teacher, 3rd and above, will have 5 Canvas courses, but they can only choose to use the homeroom course, and that's it. And that's that button on the right where it says Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. And that's totally fine with me. But the reason why I'm giving them 5 courses is because I have friends like Kat Crenshaw and other teachers that I know really well at elementary who are like, you have to give me more places for my content. I cannot teach from 1 course. And so that's the reasoning behind giving teachers 5. Carrie and I have talked back and forth about the English and writing, and I just want to clarify why English and writing is not 2 separate courses. And the reasoning is, every course is another course for a student. So I'm trying to keep them to a minimal, if that makes sense. But at the same time, a teacher who teaches reading and writing can differentiate their grade book. They can only look at reading assignments or writing assignments in their grade book and to quickly see how students are submitting to that. And those are some of the logistics that we're gonna have to help set up. And if by chance, you know, we get some feedback and we say, you know what, Chris, this was terrible. We really want to further differentiate. That's okay. I'm just trying to get this minimal for students, right? But also a sustainable approach. And so the idea of those 5 courses is to give teachers some flexibility. If you only want to use one and that works for you, you got it, go for it. If you feel like you can branch out and use those other courses, then you have the flexibility of doing that. Other questions about that? Like, that's really hard for probably you to even put your head into, because this is where I spend my hours and days in this space working through this piece. But do you have questions about that? Okay.
One thing to add to that is,
yes,
initially it's going to seem like one course is plenty for people to manage. But if they are teaching all their subject areas and everything is going in that Canvas course, it's going to really, really quickly get incredibly large, right? Like all the pages, all the assignments. So when they start off in September, they're like, oh yeah, I get it. But come October, November, they're going to go, holy moly, there's just too much content in this space. So if they do organize, and we're showing them how, if they organize that into modules, it's really easy to export it later. So in October, if they decide later, like, oh, darn, I really do wish I had a separate math course for all of my math items, they can make that happen later. And it's not like going back to reinvent the wheel, if that makes sense.
Right. And what I'm showing you right now, you're probably looking at my screen, I think. If teachers are going to do their learning by day, a Monday, a Tuesday, a Wednesday button, well, each one of those buttons goes to what's considered a module. Oh, apologize, that didn't go to a module. Goes to a module, and you can see, I'll make this a bit larger for you. This Monday module is the learning that teacher wants to put in just one. And think of it, you've all taught as long as I have. I've taught since '97. So we had those file folders we took out of our filing cabinet. That was our unit of learning, and in there was all the stuff. Well, a module is essentially the same thing. It's a big unit where all my students are going to learn those components. Well, if I have a module for each day of the week, I'm going to scroll down and you're going to see what happens. I'm going to potentially have 180 modules that students won't have to go all the way through, but the teacher's going to have to somehow, will help them manage that. And so that's the reason behind giving the flexibility of having those potential 5 total courses. Okay, so what you're seeing is the potential of what a teacher will have to provide. So I just want you to know that, okay? Questions about that? Yeah, okay. It's okay. We're gonna help these teachers. We're gonna start small. That's why we're gonna give them a homeroom. We're gonna start really small. And we're gonna be okay, and then we're gonna continue to learn together. That's the goal. Okay. With that being said, that's kind of like that component of how to manage. So let's get to you. And so for what I want to get to this point on the managing piece is you specifically. You're the principal at your school. Once you log into Canvas, there's going to be a little tiny Canvas administrator button on the left-hand side of your screen. And matter of fact, it'll look just like this. It'll be a little tiny button that says, maybe it won't say anything at all because it's just a blank screen. Okay, whatever. It'll just say admin. And that allows you as a principal to say, you know what, I would like to look for an individual student, or I want to go look at a teacher's course. So in your headspace, I don't know if you have room for all this, but I just want you to be aware that I'm setting you up right now. And matter of fact, on my list, here's my list right here. I've been going down my list and adding. So right now I'm finished McKay. All the teachers above, all the principals above have this Canvas access. And so if it's okay with you, Joan, I'm going to be you for just a second, and I'm going to show from your perspective, if you're okay with that. So for example, I'm going to be Joan. So let's take a look here and see. And what I'm showing you is things that I do as a teacher. My position is admin. What do I do? Okay, so here's Joan. So you are going to be, so as a principal, when Joan logs into Canvas, on the left-hand side, there's this little admin button. So it says dashboard. That's all the courses that Joan is enrolled in as a teacher or as a principal or as a teacher. And then if I go to courses, these are all the courses. But the admin button above allows Joan to click on Jacob Wismer and say, you know what, I kind of want to go look at, you know, a teacher. And so she could go ahead and choose a teacher and go look. Now, expectations. Why are you going to do this? Well, you might specifically be wanting to be looking for students. And maybe there's a student that a teacher brought up a concern and you kind of want to see what's been happening, what the student's doing, and that's totally fine. And so you just have to be aware that you have the ability to go in and choose who you want to go look for, okay? You have the ability to click on courses and you can go ahead and say, you know, I want to go look at, you know, the courses, and I'm going to go ahead and choose courses by this current year. Where it says all terms, this is a current year, so I'm going to switch it to, oh wow, he's already switched those out. So these are all the courses that have been through Jacob Wismer, and you can see that there's students in it. And so you could go click on any course you wanted to and just go see. Well, there's nothing in there right now because these are courses from the previous year. So the admin button allows you to click on the admin button. You'll click on your school and you could choose to look by courses. You could even type in the name of the course if you want to. Grade 5, you know, and I could even, I'm not going to go look at these teachers, but if she wanted to go look at some of these teachers, you could, like Miss Elms was my own kid's classroom teacher. So you could do that. And if you want to look for people, you can go ahead and choose students or teachers and you could go look. You're not going to spend a time in here, but just, you have the ability in case you need to do that. So are there any questions about that? I don't want to go too fast and I don't want to go too slow, but I just want you to know that I've not completed the process of having all, I think I said I'm at McKay right now. So all of you don't have this function yet, but you will have that soon. Wendy says, is there a way to clear up the archive? Okay, that's a good question. I'm so glad that she thought about that. So the challenge is when you come in here and you look at courses, the archive, all of these, well, right now where it says filter by term, see how it says all terms default. Right now, we have actually squished every single course for the previous year into what's considered to be the 2018 and 19 course. So there are going to be archived. You're going to filter these out. Matter of fact, when these get published in a few days, it'll actually say year and you'll get to go look at, like here it says year. You'll actually get to go look at the most current courses. And right now there's none in there because we've moved them all, okay? So right now with Brian and myself, we're in the process of clearing all of these courses up for you, okay? But you can look at these, okay? So I'm gonna get out of there real fast. So questions anymore? Is there a way to clear out? Yeah, so that's the only way you can do that is to basically choose your course. You'll choose the term that you want to look at. And right now it will be year once these are all published and you can look at the most current ones. You can also go ahead and filter. Right now, there's none in there. So that's kind of why you're not seeing these. Okay, questions, that's a big one. Like I don't want you to spend a lot of time in there, but just know that once you do log into Canvas, you'll click on the admin button. And if you want to go look at your school and see the courses, then you could see once those courses are published, you'll be able to see those courses in there. So do you have any questions about that?
Chris, do
Yeah.
assistant principals have that same admin?
Yes, they will. Yeah, right now I only have, that's a good question. Right now I only have the list of principals. So my intention behind this is to give principals, assistant principals, and counselors the same ability because in that case to support the students. And so basically I'm trying to mirror whatever rights you had in Synergy. So I do not have the list of assistant principals and they will be added eventually, yeah. So I'm glad you asked that question. Thank you. Okay. Are you guys okay? Questions? Yeah, you were good to go. Okay. It's a lot. Okay, so I'm going to stop being Joan for just a moment. All right, so that being said, that's the managing of Canvas is that you can actually go ahead and look at Canvas courses. I'm not going to tell you when and why you might do that, and you can always ask me questions during this year. You can always reach out to me and say, hey, Chris, I need some help with this. So please don't walk away feeling like you have to know all of this. You've got support, okay? So that being said, I do want to move to this one called communication. And this is the question that you're all going to want to know. Again, you have an all student course and an all staff course. You can choose to use them or not. We'll help you set those up if you need to. But the next piece I really want to kind of get into is this piece here, which is parents. Every single parent in the entire district who has an active parent view course, who has an active parent view account, has an automatic Canvas course created for them and account for them. So I don't know how many of you are parents in their district like I am, but I have a Canvas parent account because I have an active parent view account. So what I'm showing you on this screen is families can go to the district webpage, click on families, and you'll see where it says Canvas. And then it'll actually tell them how to activate their account. We have webinars in Spanish and English. And just today, my good friends, Rick and Suzanne, have finished 5 Canvas videos for parents, and they'll be translated into 8 different languages. So that will also be on the webpage for parents, okay? Yeah, and we're trying to keep them very simple because, again, I go back to your situation. If I'm a parent of an elementary child in Jones School, and I have a 5th grader who's using Canvas and a 2nd grader who's using Seesaw, I'm a parent who has to deal with both. So just please understand, I mean, you know that already. I don't have to make you all aware of that. You get that. So the challenge is those agreements I showed you earlier, that's our goal to help our Canvas using teachers be somewhat consistent so that those parents have some stable foundation of consistency, okay? I think one of the biggest problems that parents had last year, and me included, was I was getting too much information, too much communication, and I just turned everything off as a parent of 3 kids. It wasn't the teacher's fault. It was just too much. So we are going to show parents how they can actually turn off the notifications. They can actually turn off the amount of information they're receiving. And that those videos will be on our district webpage as well. Okay. And then the other thing I want to show you with communication is once teachers start to create tasks for students to complete, every single thing with a due date shows up on a calendar for that child and for the parent. So if I'm a parent of 5 kids or 3 kids and they're all using Canvas, this is the one place I can go to find out what's due, when it's due, and how do I get to it. And they're all current and active. So again, our elementary teachers who are just using Canvas, who are starting out, this is going to be a learning curve for them. But eventually, that consistency of everything that my students do with the due date will show up in this one place. And so for those students who are like, hey, I missed 3 days of school, what did I miss? Go to the calendar. Here's the things you've missed, right? So, and I think, Carrie, I believe you can help me out, but Seesaw has or is releasing some calendar that has some similar functionality, correct?
Yes, not quite as comprehensive, but they've added that as a result of.
Yeah, and so I feel like as an individual who has to help parents navigate both spaces, if I had to tell you one thing, I feel like it would be the calendar. Like, don't worry about diving into Canvas. Don't worry about navigating. Just literally log in, go to the calendar, and that's it. Like, that's the simplest approach. So, questions about this? For our elementary folks who have more than one Canvas course, you can see on the right-hand side, I have all these courses. As a student, I can unselect any course I don't want to see. So I'm going to hit escape for a second, and I'm going to go to my calendar. It'll take a second to load because I have so many courses. But a student and a parent and a teacher has control over their calendar. They can decide how much information they want to see, and they can decide, you know, how they want to view it. And so this is taking a few minutes. Here we go. Here it's going to load. So on the right-hand side are all of my courses, 2nd grade, 6th grade. So if I'm a student, I can unselect anything and just say that's too much information, and I can unselect it. And this goes for parents. If you're a parent of a middle school child, a high school parent, and an elementary who's using Canvas, you can come here and unclick all the courses that you don't want to see on the calendar. At the same time, you can select them and say, okay, it looks like for this course, there's an assignment coming up or there's a discussion coming up. And as you can see right here, this is the discussion. This is something that the students will do, and it's on the day that it's due, and teachers can move it around anywhere they want. So the great thing is that if I'm a parent, all I have to do is go to the calendar and say, hey, what's due for, you know, what's Carrie got going on for this week? And I can look to see, here are things that are due. I can click on it as a parent and I can kind of see the information the teacher has produced for them. FYI, parents can't see discussions. So just to let you know, okay. So, and then the last thing I want to show you is this agenda. I can click on agenda, and instead I might decide, you know what, I'm going to go all the way back to, 1 second, I'm going to go back to crisis teaching moment here real fast. And so if I want to, I can click on an agenda and it'll give me a list view instead. So I can look at it as a calendar like we do as adults when we look at our Outlook calendar, but I can also look at it by clicking on agenda, and it gives me like a nice cleaner view. So again, elementary is going to be a learning curve. Not all of our teachers are going to have to deal with all those courses at the beginning. They'll start with just the one, but just as an awareness, if you're a parent in our district or you're talking to a parent in our district, that calendar is the one place that they can go ahead and say, I'm going to look at the month, or I can click on the agenda and say, here's what my child is doing the next couple of days or the week.
Hey, Chris.
Yep.
Do principals have a similar calendar feature?
Yeah, so right now, like a few minutes ago, I was pretending to be Joan. I'll go back to be Joan again. And the great thing about, in my opinion, Canvas is whether I'm a teacher, a parent, or a student, the calendar is the calendar. It does not matter who you are. And so right now you can see where it says Joan has her own personal calendar, and every student will have their own personal calendar. And I could go ahead and click on the calendar and make my own to-do list if I wanted to. So I don't spend a ton of time on my personal calendar because if I'm a learner, I'm more concerned about what the work is for those courses. So I don't spend a ton of time on my own personal calendar, but a student can add things to their own calendar. Think of it as a digital planner if they wanted to. I'm not quite sure how much 4th and 5th grade and 3rd grade is going to do this. And in my opinion, it's not really worth I don't think it's worth the energy and the stress to teach them. I just think it's more important to say, here's your calendar, here's the courses you're taking, and you'll see what's due on those days.
Does the calendar communicate with Outlook?
So you can go ahead and send, it's called a calendar feed, and you could send this to Outlook. So in other words, if I put something in Canvas, it'll show up on Outlook, but it can't go backwards. I can't put something on Outlook and it show up in Canvas. It's only a one direction. Okay, so if I'm a high school student, that's valuable to me. I can send my calendar to my phone calendar, and then I can see what's coming up and when things are due.
Chris?
Yep.
Are all of our middle and high school teachers using Canvas?
Yes, I will say, with the exception of, I don't know what the correct term is, but maybe self-contained special ed students, because they might be dedicated to using Seesaw because it is simpler. I would say 100% middle school and high school teachers are supposed to be using Canvas this year. So a good question. All right, so that being said, it's kind of, I just, the management, the calendar, and the parents are the really important things for you to be aware of. And the last thing is, all of you, when you log into Canvas, you can click the help button. We have what I call 24-hour care. It's actually, you could chat with Canvas 24 hours a day if you wanted to. So if I'm Joan and I'm like, okay, I'm stressed out right now, I can click on chat, and then the chat button will open up. So inside of Canvas, there's a little help button on the left-hand side. I can click chat with support, and that will open up, and I can put in my information and I can begin to chat. That means our 3rd, 4th, and 5th grade teachers who are going to use Canvas can do that. It's a busy year, so they might have to be waiting for just like customer service chat. But there is 24-hour support. Beyond myself and Carrie, who are here, this is a great space. And then also, last thing I want to say is, when they do click on help, search the guides. You know, why guess when you can Google? That's my philosophy. So, you know, so I kind of want to hit stop. And I'm cool with just fielding some more questions specifically from you. But basically, an overview of Canvas, super light, apologize. The management as far as your ability to go ahead and use that admin button. And again, you may never go into Canvas, and there's no expectation of you either, by the way, but I'm here to support you with that. The communication, every single parent in the district has a parent account who has an active parent view account. Now, the process of setting it up, again, like I said, is on our district webpage. And then communication, you all have a staff page, a student page that you can choose to use or not. It's totally up to you. And then it says, can we another co-teacher access the teacher's account? Yeah, other teachers, like if Carrie and I are both teaching 5th grade together, I could add Carrie as my co-teacher to my 5th grade course with the intention of us just maybe just seeing what we're doing. But at the same time, I could create a planning course called 5th grade planning course, and I can add Carrie to that course, and her and I could both put stuff in that course with no students, and then we can both borrow from that course into the course that we're teaching. So there's a lot of collaboration that can take place between staff. So,
Chris, can you show the Growing with Canvas course, how you access that if you wanted more?
Yes. Oh, that's going to be way off. So I have to go to, I'm going to teacher source. So just for that information. So I'm going to go ahead and right now put this in there for you. Okay. So let me put the link in for all of you right now. So this is the Growing with Canvas part 1 and part 2. So I'm going to put this in there right now in the link. What we'll be doing over the next few days and weeks is just kind of finalizing our PD. I'm actually going to send a message out to all staff saying, hey, if you're chomping and you want to start something now, I'm going to encourage you to enroll in this course, but I'm also going to encourage you to enroll in the student course just to see from a student's perspective what Canvas looks like. And so we have a really great Canvas course that I'll make sure that teachers have access to. It's called Passport to Canvas. And so right now it's not available to anybody, but I will make sure that teachers know this, they can enroll and they can actually be a student in that course and feel what it's like. And that's kind of our training motto, is going to be getting teachers into a course where they're a student first, so they have a context as to how we're actually working with them. Canvas is a very powerful tool. It is a classroom. You can create Canvas discussions, you can have full-on engagement, you can do all the things that you feel like you really want to do as a classroom teacher, but there's also so much to learn, and we are not going to teach them all at this beginning. Matter of fact, my focus will be, I'm going to teach you how to edit your homepage, and I'm going to teach you how to use discussions, because you could connect with your kids, you can engage, you can teach, you can check and respond to your students with just a classroom discussion. And if that's all you do for a few days, besides the Zooms, you are going to meet your students' needs. So we're going to start very, very simple. And then we're also offering very targeted PD for a district. Hey, you want to learn about how to make an assignment? It is a very specific PD on just assignments. Right? So.
Another thing I wanted to let you know is that Nicole Carter and I are building the first unit of study writing unit for 4th and 5th grade teachers. And we're building that obviously in Seesaw and in Canvas as well. So teachers will have their first writing unit done for them, where they just have to import it and they can kind of experience it without having to build it. They can see how the discussion works, see how the assignments are turned in. And we will be offering PD on that next week.
Yeah, I think if anything, I think we just have to just realize that this is going to be potentially a learning curve. That's all there is to it. And giving our teachers that grace and that they need. I think in the end, connecting with your students, if I were in your shoes, it'd be like, here's your spreadsheet of your students. Here's the tools that you're going to use to connect with your students, phone call, text messages, all the possible tools, postcards, you name it. Once you make that connection to your student, you put a check mark next to that student with which tool you used, and then your goal as a teacher is to narrow down that scope of tools you're using. Email will be one, Zoom will be one, and then if you're middle school, high school, or that teacher using Canvas, you're gonna use Canvas to kind of go ahead and communicate. So, because it's not gonna be sustainable for our teachers to use 17 different communication tools. They're really gonna need to narrow down that focus. All right, you've been hanging out for 45 minutes. Do you have any questions? How can we further support you? What can we answer? How do you send announcements? Oh, that's a great question. So, and I'm thinking your question is, how do you send announcements? Like, how do you send announcements to your entire staff? That's the perspective. Oh, love it. All right. So the cool thing about that is I'm going to be Joan again. She's my favorite subject for the day. So if I'm Joan and I'm going to go to courses and I'm going to go look at all courses because she had a Jacob Wismer. I'm going to do the staff one. Here it is. Jacob Wismer Elementary Staff. This is an old course, okay, and it's blank. It's boring, but you'll get a new one. But if I'm Joan, I can send an announcement out to the entire staff by using an announcement. And so all of my staff, if I have published the Canvas course and we're using it as a staff to communicate, I can send an announcement out to the staff and say, hey, you know, information's coming up, and I can host all of my staff meetings there. I don't want to take away from your process, but just as an FYI, if you want to, you know, edit or fix your process, then that's totally possible. You can also send an announcement to the students. But again, if your course is not published, they won't get it. If you're only using Canvas for 5th grade and that's it, there's really no point in using the all student course if only 5th grade is using it. So as a principal, you have to decide, in my opinion, let's stick to 1 or 2 tools and we'll, you know, kind of minimize that. So does that answer your question about the announcements?
Well, I was just thinking of sending reminders to students, like when we have Zoom links for all school assemblies. I had done that in Seesaw. I wanted to make sure my 5th graders get that same info.
So yeah, so as a teacher, I could do that for sure. As a principal, again, if you're going to use the all student course, then your whole entire school has to be aware of that, because, you know, I guess it just depends on how you want to address that. Here's the tricky part about announcements. Earlier we talked about, you know, my motto is inform me, don't annoy me. So we have to be really careful in how much information is being sent by how many people and what tools. So an announcement sends a email and a notification to a parent and a student. You've been notified of an important announcement. So you have to be careful at how often those announcements are sent out and who's going to be sending those out. So we've kind of come to the point where we feel like teachers shouldn't be sending announcements out if they're going to be using those all student courses and grade level courses. Save the announcements for those courses. So. With that being said, the last thing I want to show you real quickly is this, and this is the most powerful feature I feel like in Canvas. And I'm my classroom teacher. I can click today, and I can go ahead and do daily agenda. And I can go ahead and choose the course, and I'm going to just pretend it's for Joan's Sandbox course. I can go to more options, and I can say, welcome. And I can say today. And I can write down everything that we're learning today. I don't really know. I'm just going to say fractions and then just reading. And then I can even go ahead and add and I can even go ahead, if Joan doesn't have a discussion, it's okay, but I can even tag it. The whole point of this is when I'm creating my event, remember those old days when you had a whiteboard in your classroom and your kids came in and said, what are we doing today? And you wrote it on your whiteboard. That's what this does. My students every day could click on this daily agenda and they could know instantly what we're learning for the day. And so the point of this conversation is, how are your teachers going to inform your students of what they're learning, what's due, and how to engage in the learning today versus what's due tomorrow? And so to me, that calendar event, creating just a simple daily agenda where the teacher could write down, here's what we're learning today. They could even put a link to that place in Canvas and the students could engage in learning. So in 2 days from now, a parent says, oh, my child missed Monday or Tuesday, what did they miss? They could go to that calendar and look at the information that they missed or some upcoming information. All right, questions? Yeah, I'm trying to look at the chat, sorry. So you can definitely answer, you can uncheck if you want to. Yeah, we're gonna be doing targeted PD specifically for our teachers. All right, so do you have any questions or what can I do? This is a very quick overview. You have so much on your head. that you have to do. And I don't want to inundate you with one more thing. So.
Hey, Chris,
Yes.
this is Sean here. Will classified staff have access to Canvas, or can they support a teacher through Canvas?
So great question. At the middle school and high school, we are creating, and when I say I'm thinking specifically special ed support, middle school and high school are specifically creating courses for those teachers who have a caseload. Elementary, our conversation the other day was we don't even know yet. We don't have a perfect solution. So in other words, if you're a teacher who supports more than a few students, you could be added to those courses. So if I have a student who's in your class, then you could add me to your Canvas course as a co-teacher. Then I can at least be aware of what assignments or what information you're giving to that child. The problem is that you don't want me to edit, you don't want me to change or do anything in your course. So adding me as a co-teacher will at least help me understand what's happening and what you're doing, but I'm still going to have to find a way to be able to work with that student. And I don't think, in my opinion, adding a Canvas course to a student who's also getting support from another teacher, which is another Canvas course. And so that's the tricky part, the tricky balance. So I don't know, Sean, I mean, I hope it does that kind of answer somewhat. Sorry, it's probably not the perfect solution. We have SLPs who will be getting Canvas courses at the middle school and high school course, according to the students that they support in Synergy.
No, you brought up a good point. We don't want to inundate them with courses.
Yeah. So a teacher could add, absolutely. If you're the teacher, you can add me. Now the problem though is, and here's the thing, if it's only fifth grade at your school using Canvas, then I only have a couple as that support teacher. But if I'm a school who has third, fourth, and fifth teachers using Canvas and I'm being added to all those courses, that's potentially 20 courses on my course load as that support staff. So that's just an awareness of it's doable, but here's those kind of unintended consequences of that. Yeah, that question is probably something that we've been grappling with for a long time, and we're still trying to figure out a really, really good sustainable solution. So, any other questions? Yes.
I have a question.
Yeah, Erin.
Would you suggest that the classroom teachers add on their co-teacher? Would that be the easiest thing?
Like if you and I are both teaching fourth grade, like adding me
Yes.
as, I think definitely the challenge is why, right? It's kind of like the why, like if you're going to add me to your course because you want to see what I'm doing, then that's fine. We've communicated and there's nothing wrong with that. The challenge is when you're added to courses and if that teacher is sending information out or notifications, that is an alert that you will receive from that course because you're now in that course. So I'm not saying no, it's just we have to be aware of those I guess consequences or what happens next. So I could also say that a fourth grade team could create one course called fourth grade and all the teachers could be in that one course. There are no students and they could go ahead and put things in that course and then bring those components into their own course with students. So you can have like I've been calling it a master course, but we could call it a planning course or you could call it your, something else. So does that answer your question?
Yeah, I just wanted to give you some context because at some schools we have other certified teachers who support students at that grade level, and we just wanted to give them access to what they would be missing or not coming up.
And I see no reason why they couldn't. I just, again, making sure that those people are aware that they might have 4 or 5 courses. So because every staff member in the district has a Canvas access, regardless of who you are, and so everybody can go to the staff place and log in with Canvas and have access. So once those teachers are added to a 4th grade or 5th grade team, they'll see that on the dashboard, just like Joan's dashboard. Every principal, you're going to have like a ton of courses, principals. Not as many as high school, but you will have quite a few courses on your dashboard. And just don't worry about it. I mean, if you want to click courses, come all the way down to where it says all courses and put a star or don't put a star. And that makes it show up on your dashboard. By not putting a star on it, it won't show up. So you have that ability to control that. And so do students. Like right now, look at Joan's dashboard is clean. Now she only has 1 course. So she can always go ahead and change and add those back. So. All right, if you're okay with that, I'll hit record. I'm going to hit stop recording I guess apparently we've been recording, which is